So we have a moral imperative, advocating for all lives and true justice. So today, I bring you together to engage in a profound and necessary conversation about life, responsibility, and the values that guide our actions as a society. In a world where we often hear calls for the sanctity of life, we must ask ourselves, whose lives are we truly advocating for? It is a glaring contradiction that while some seek to assert control over a woman's body, there is a conspicuous silence surrounding the responsibilities that should be placed upon men, especially those who choose to abandon their roles as fathers. Why is that we rally so fervently to regulate a woman's reproductive decisions, yet turn a blind eye to the deadbeat fathers who neglect their children? This inconsistency speaks volumes about the selective nature of our moral outrage. In a society that claims to uphold family values, we cannot ignore the fact that fatherhood is as much about responsibility as it is about rights. Where is the accountability for men who fail to fulfill their obligations? Why is there no outcry for systems that enable abandonment rather than support? If we are to advocate for life, we must advocate for all life, born and unborn, male and female, parent and child. Furthermore, let's consider the just position of religious freedoms and moral rights invoked in discussions around abortion. While the plight of the homeless, the impoverished, and the marginalized is often met with indifference, it is disheartening to witness a fervent commitment to protecting the unborn without corresponding passion for those who are already here, struggling to survive. In the book of James, we are reminded that faith without works is dead. That is James chapter 2, verse 26. Our faith must compel us to act, not just in defense of the unborn, but also in support of our neighbors who are hungry, homeless, and in need of care. The gospel calls us to serve the least among us, to advocate for justice, and to lift up those who are suffering. Yet we look around, we see a troubling trend. Religious favor is often mobilized only when it serves a specific agenda, while the suffering of the living is brushed aside. Consider the plight of children in foster care and those awaiting adoption. These children, often overlooked, are in desperate need of love, support, and stability. They are not mere statistics, they are lives filled with potential that society has a responsibility to nurture. The same voices that rally to protect the unborn must also raise to advocate for those children who are already here, who face uncertainty and heartache every single day. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, the true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members. Are we living up to the measure when we choose to ignore the cries of children in foster care, the elderly facing hunger, and families struggling to make ends meet? If we are to be true to our moral compass, we must embrace a holistic view of life, a view that encompasses the needs of all rather than a selective few. And what of the critical issues of free child care, medical care, and food security for children and seniors, the most vulnerable among us? It is astonishing that some would oppose providing essential support for families while clamoring to protect the unborn. How can we profess to value life when we deny the resources necessary for a dignified existence? Our commitment to life should extend beyond birth. It should encompass the entire journey, ensuring that every individual has access to the basic necessities that foster a healthy and fulfilling life. Let us not forget the teachings of our faith leaders who remind us of our duty to care for the marginalized. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks once said, "The highest form of wisdom is kindness. Kindness is not a passive act. It requires us to confront the systems that perpetrate suffering and advocate for meaningful change. It is our moral duty to challenge the status quo, to demand accountability from those who have the means to support others, and to stand in solidarity with the vulnerable." As we move forward in this conversation, let us commit ourselves to a more inclusive vision of life, one that recognizes the interconnectedness of our struggles and honors the dignity of every individual. It is time to advocate for a society that values all lives, that seeks justice for the living, and that provides support for those who need it most. In closing, let us remember that our moral imperative extends beyond the unborn. It calls for us to fight for the rights of children in foster care, to advocate for the homeless, to ensure that families have access to the resources they need to thrive. Together, we can create a world where compassion prevails, where every life is valued, and where justice is not just a word we speak, but a principle we live by. Thank you.